welcome to USC. Have you ever been here before?
Once, yeah.
For a talk or for a game or what?
For a smaller group than this. I think it was part of the journalism school, and it was a class, and the kids were working on a project. They were developing a commercial for a local business, and it was a quick bit about our story, and then they wanted to brainstorm. So we ended up spending like half an hour, 45 minutes talking about commercials for Rosa Mexicana and a couple other things, which was actually kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This is all majors, all classes. I heard some freshmen, but sophomores through seniors primarily, and people thinking about what they're going to do next. A lot of people start companies, maybe not right out of school, go have businesses, but it's sort of more of an experience. So we want to hear how you did it.
Sure.
So before we dive into your business career, just sort of where'd you grow up? Where were you born?
Sure. Was born I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Moved to the suburbs when I was very young. Went to high school there. Went to college in Atlanta at Emory. Graduated in 2001. Moved to New York.
And then started your career. So where did you start your career?
So I was a page at NBC, and I'm sure you guys watched 30 Rock, but I was Kenneth, and that was a great first job for me to have. Yeah.
And how long were you page at NBC?
So the page program is 1 year, but if you get a job before the year is up, you leave the program. So I was only there for about 9 months before I went into a job on the editorial side at MSNBC, doing news writing and production.
For the news program?
For a couple different shows, for Keith Olbermann, for Ashley Banfield, for Joe Scarborough, etc. Not all of those guys are at that network still.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so ever since Keith left you, he's been.
That's right. Yeah, I was the key factor.
You didn't go
I'm sure.
to Current TV with him.
No.
So talk about what you did afterward and how you got involved in digital marketing.
Sure. So so after I left the editorial world, I kind of became disillusioned with building the news, as it were. You guys watch the 24-hour news cycle. There's always something on. It's always changing, and that sort of chaos was a part of my life. And I didn't really enjoy that, and the fleeting nature of a day's work. You'd work to build the show, and then anything could change right before the show airs, and then it was gone. And I guess technically you're building a body of work, but it just felt like a lot of hustle. Then it goes away, and you're not really building anything. And I like the idea of building things. And I was also getting very interested in business and marketing, and I wanted to get out of the editorial world. So I became a little bit disillusioned with that, and went to work for a small client services firm in New York. So that just means we had a couple clients. Some were minor league sports teams. Others were local web companies. This was 2003, early 2004, and the web was young, as it still is technically on a geological scale, I guess, but it was really young then. And we built websites and we did branding for these companies, and that's where I really kind of cut my teeth on user interface, user experience stuff, all the stuff that's very important to our work at DSC. I first developed an understanding of what brands mean and why they're important, and why the best companies have really strong brands. And I sort of stayed at that company for I guess a year, and then I left with the partner of that firm to go to work for Time Inc., which publishes magazines that you've all heard of: Sports Illustrated, Time Magazine, People Magazine, etc. And I worked for a couple different web properties there, most notably, and was SportsIllustrated.com. And SportsIllustrated.com, Sports Illustrated, they make their money selling ads, both in the magazine and online. And an advertiser like Nike would come to us and they would say, "We want to pay $1 million to reach your audience. What else can you do besides sell us space in your magazine and on your website?" And we would say, well, we can build you custom content, both on the web and in print. And that custom content could have been anything. It could have been a game. It could have been a Q&A interactive website with Peyton Manning or something like that. And we built that stuff. And that's where I really started developing an understanding of how to work with programmers, speaking the language that they speak, which I don't know if there's any computer science students in the room, but it's probably tough to talk to your friends sometimes about what you do because it's a very esoteric language and it's very different from what we all talk about throughout the course of a normal business day. So that's where I really started understanding the programmer's language, not coding because I can't code anything, but that's where I understood design, web design, UI, UX, working with programmers, designers to build content that resonated with an audience. And I did that for about 5 years before getting into the video seeding space, which is fancy talk for driving views to branded social videos. So we would, and this was the early days of that, which was 3 years ago. It's funny to talk about the early days of anything, being how young we all are. But it was true in 2009, 10, when I moved to California from New York. No one was really, I mean, some people were talking about branded social videos. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Elf Yourself, but that was one of the first big ones. The Subservient Chicken was more of a site than a video, but these were the early days of that, and I was helping companies like Taco Bell, Ford, Gillette, ironically, work on their branded social videos and get them seen, which is very hard to do. 24 hours of video gets uploaded to YouTube every minute or something. That's not it, but it's something ridiculously huge like that. So these companies were all freaked out trying to get their needle in the haystack discovered, and we helped them do that, both on helping them edit their videos in the right way and write the scripts in the right way, and then ultimately publicize them. So that's, I don't know how you would slap a label on me. I guess you would call it media marketing, digital media, brand development. I tried to start a social network for travelers in 2006. And the whole time in New York, I was always studying improv and sketch comedy, which I love. So that's me.
Well, no, it's sort of funny, someone as young as you are, usually, Steve Jobs had this great speech at Stanford about, connecting the dots, and you usually can only connect the dots looking backwards. As you get older, it's easier to connect dots, but just in, his career, you see he's like, digital marketing, branding, marketing, NBC page, and improv, and it sort of makes perfect sense where you wound up. It's not a coincidence, obviously, that you wound up doing this. So when did you launch Dollar Shave Club, and tell us what Dollar Shave Club is?
Sure. Dollar Shave Club, if you ask most guys how they feel about buying razors, they would say, I would imagine that it's very expensive and you're frustrated with the experience of buying them. I don't know if you guys, where most guys in here, how many of you guys are using Gillette? Okay. How many guys are using Schick? 2 guys, all right. Anybody using Dollar Shave Club? All right,
Few?
well, that'll change.
Few. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, how many people would think that the razors that they're buying right now are overpriced? Okay. So I remember when I was in my 20s in New York, living on rice and beans, I would always bristle at the cost of razors. I'd get to the counter. Actually, I'd go into the store. I'd try to find that razor fortress, which is always locked. You got to find the guy with the key. He's always doing something else. He's texting his girlfriend. You get him, you open the case, you walk to the register. That whole thing takes 10 minutes, longer if you're driving your car and going out of your way. And I hated that. And then you get to the register and it's $25. Or $20 or whatever it is. It's too much for a little couple pieces of metal that scrape the hair off your face. So I always kind of bristled at that. And so Dollar Shave Club, we started to eliminate that problem or solve that problem. So we send, for a couple bucks a month, high quality razors right to your door. And if you use the service, what you will start to discover is that it feels incredible to shave with a fresh blade every week and not have to worry about the price and not milk that sorry old razor blade again and again and again. And what we're selling is the fearless, affordable shave. And that's what Dollar Shave Club is.
And so you're in an industry, you enter an industry with 2 massive players. How big is the industry, by the way? How big is the
I should know this, but I know that it's about a $15 billion industry in the United States, just men's.
just men's razors is $15 billion a year, and there are two major players basically.
So
right?
Gillette has about 67, 70% of the market. Schick has about 20, and then Bic has a couple nickels and dimes.
And when did you launch Dollar Shave Club?
So we launched we launched the beta version of the site in July 2011 after starting the project in December 2010. And we relaunched in March 2012 with 3 products instead of 1. And a new site and a video that told the story of what we were doing. And things have been very different since then.
Let's take a look at one of the greatest viral marketing videos of all time. You can hit the lights and give us some volume.
Wait, before you play that,
Okay.
how many people have seen this already?
Few.
And how many saw this before you knew that I was coming to this class?
There you go.
Okay. So if you've all seen that video, why aren't you members? Is that too expensive? Is $1 too much?
Speaking of cost, how much did that video cost to make?
We paid, well, we spent about $4,500 and then maybe a couple grand to license the song at the end. But again, I did that with a friend who was a director who I worked with in New York on some comedy stuff, and it was like a favor to a friend type thing. I don't really think I paid her much. I think I maybe gave her $500 and everything else went to bear costumes and wagons and other stuff, a machete.
Machete.
Yeah.
And as of now, about how many times has it been viewed?
I haven't checked recently. 8.5 million? It's pretty good. Thank you.
Do you have 8.5 million student buyers?
No.
That'd be a great conversion ratio
That
for
would be
anybody.
incredible. That would be incredible.
So what happens after you launch that video, and tell us the difference in the business immediately.
Yeah, well, it was actually a very terrifying time. So I started the business in my apartment after I met my friend's fiance's father at a cocktail party, who was able to help us get some some inexpensive razor inventory to test the concept. And I put my life savings into the business, and I left my job and made a lot of personal sacrifices. I moved into a studio bungalow where the toilet was 5 steps from my bed. It was sanitary. I mean, it was a very nice bungalow. It was in Venice, and in some backyard. So it wasn't a slum, but it was small, and it was downsized from what I had been living in. So I'd made a lot of sacrifices and took a lot of risk to do this because I believed in the power of brand, and I believed in our ability to solve this problem with great product and great marketing. And so I'd made a lot of sacrifices, and I had spent a year running the business, building the website, finding a distribution center, going down to mom blog conferences in San Diego to tell these women, these discount bloggers about us in hopes that they would write about us. And just really watching that needle go down on the bank account, and then finding an angel investor and convincing them that this was something worthwhile, and then rebuilding the site, because what we had, there's an older, cached version of the site that if anybody knows how to do that and you go back and look for it, you'll see that it does not look as pretty as the current one. So building a new site and networking to find great talent and wooing those people away from the jobs that they were in and saying, no, really, we're going to do this. We're going to sell razors on the internet, and it's going to be great. And you should leave what you're doing in your 6-figure job and come work for me, the guy who lives in the slum. I worked and I shot the video, and I used that video to help raise money, and we build and you work and you sacrifice and you build all to this moment, you tee it up, and then it launches, and it goes like way better than you could ever possibly expect it to go. And everybody's picking it up. Every blog you've ever heard of, every media site you've ever heard of is picking it. It was a slow news day, so there were no shark attacks that day. So we benefited from that, but everybody picked it up, and everybody, it was the right time of year. It was right before South by Southwest. Everybody was kind of thinking digital and entertainment and all the things that South by Southwest represents. I think South by started the next day, so everyone was just kind of in that mode. And then here we go and launch with some backing from some pretty big Silicon Valley investors and $1 million of seed funding in this video, which is funny, that solves a very big problem, that solves an important pain point. And goes better than you ever expect that it would. And we launched the video at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, March 6th, 2012. And by 7:30, the site was down because it had crashed from so much traffic. And if you go back to the early comments in the early days of YouTube, you'll see some of those comments are, wow, what a great idea for a business. Someone should actually do this. Because you couldn't get on the site. And that was scary. That was, you see this great pickup and you see this great response, and you're thinking to yourself, holy shit, I just sacrificed everything and we're missing this moment. Like, no one can get on the website. Holy shit, this is crazy. And so that was a terrifying 24 hours. And then the site comes back up, we got it working, and which goes to show you how kind of unprepared on the tech side we were for this. Then about 3 days later, we were sold out of all our inventory for like 2.5 months. And so, I'm thinking to myself, and I can't really tell you the number of subscribers or any of that stuff, but suffice it to say that, we had tens of thousands of members sign up in the first 3 days, and that sold us out of our first batch of inventory. And we were dark, meaning we were taking orders, but we were sold out. We couldn't deliver anything for 2.5 months. And that was terrifying, because you say to yourself, I made all these sacrifices. I've always wanted to start a business. I've always been entrepreneurial, and this was the thing. This was it. This was everything. And then you think, holy shit, it might be gone just as fast as it got switched on. And we were very fortunate that the web is very startup friendly, and people love the underdog, because the comments were very supportive. That when we told them, hey, thanks for your, and again, this is $6 we're talking about here for our middle tier package, so it's not a ton of money for most people. And so we were lucky that people were like, don't worry about it, congratulations, this is awesome, we're with you, stick with it, all of that stuff. And while we never will know what the full upside of those first 2.5 months would have been, we weathered the storm pretty well, I think, and we're still here, we're still alive, which anybody who's started a business can tell you. Sometimes just surviving is a huge fucking accomplishment. And the last year has been incredible and terrifying, and we are still very much in freaky startup town. We are a little bit more stable than we were at the beginning. Well, a lot more stable than we were at the beginning. But with a startup, we're doing really well. But with a startup, anything can happen at any moment, and it's your job as the startup founder or CEO, whatever role of leadership you have, to just anticipate every scenario as best you can and try to plan for it. So the last year's been amazing, and hopefully this year's going to be a lot better.
Congratulations for weathering the first year. That's not easy to do. How is something like Dollar Shave Club sort of possible now, where maybe 5, maybe even 10 years ago, it would be really tough to take on such large entrenched players?
Absolutely. It's the web. The web has come a long way, and there are a lot of stories out there, and I don't need to go into them, but there are a lot of stories of companies that were just too early because, America wasn't ready for their idea, and then 5 years later somebody does it. They tried it, they went out of business. 5 years later, somebody else came along and did it because everybody was ready for it. so there was a societal thing, I think, 5 years ago where a lot of people, even though we were accustomed to paying for certain things on a monthly basis, like our magazines or our cable bill and our electricity, I think most people would file the monthly thing into the utility bucket. I would guess. I know there's other examples. Fruit of the Month Club was around and certainly doing well since I was a kid. But I think people were still a little bit leery of A, buying things on the internet, and B, buying them blindly with regularity. So I think 5 years ago, our idea just flat out wouldn't have worked. And from a societal standpoint, from a infrastructural standpoint, I don't think that fulfillment houses and all of the software features that are required for our business were even available then. It would have been a much more of a hackathon than the current site, where all of the elements are kind of there to kind of glob onto one another to make the monster roar. And then also from a web standpoint, a social standpoint, I mean, 5 years ago, it's 2013, so 2007. I mean, yeah, Facebook was here and big, and I don't know what MySpace's story was at that point. Twitter was very, very young. The social infrastructure was a lot less then, and the ability for a story like ours and a video like ours to go viral so fast, I don't think was there as much as it is now. There are more blogs, there are more bloggers, there are more influencers. There's just more smart people on the web as nodes in the machine to ping information and stories out further and further and further. And that just wasn't there.
And did anyone ever sort of say what the value of that might have been in terms of publicity and marketing for you guys?
I mean, it's really invaluable because now we have the attention that we have, and yeah, I mean, it's invaluable.
Yeah, you couldn't, in the old days with advertising through traditional methods, a startup could never afford to reach that many people and that many impressions. So the virality of it is something that allows a startup to do that.
That's right.
What about? Let's talk brand. You're a marketing guy.
Sure.
Let's talk about the brand, what it stands for. First of all, the tagline or the mantra, which is phenomenal. Share that with everybody. What is it?
Shave time, shave money.
That's awesome. That's just awesome. That really, you can come down to like 3 or 4 words that captures your business instantly, you're onto something. And then define the brand and who's your customer.
Well, our customer, surprisingly, is everybody. And that's not to say that that's what we think of when we when we make new creative or when we think about new products. I mean, the company is very much designed for men ages 25 to 50, so to speak. But that's who we build our products for. The new products which we'll be launching, and that's who we think of in our mind when we write creative and build the site, new pages, etc. But we have 70-year-old women who are our customer. We have kids in high school that are our customers, and that is one thing that you just really couldn't have planned for either, was the universality, and we're really fortunate that this happened. This is not something that we planned for. The universality of how this brand resonates and how that video resonated across generations. My grandmother, who's 95 and uses the web, which is a miracle in and of itself, loved the video, but she loved it because I'm in the video, probably. She's like, whenever I miss you, I watch your video, which is heartbreaking and terrifying. But she showed it to her friends who are 70, and they would say that's incredible, and they would laugh, and it's that person, and then it's people like you and me and everybody, and that's incredible. So it's. So
not just sort of age-wise, but psychographically, who's your core customer? I mean, what do they think? What do they, are they label lickers? Do they need brands? Are they value-driven?
Yeah, so we don't spend a ton of time on psychographics necessarily. We look at problems that exist, and we say, how are we going to solve those problems? Number one problem was expensive razors. And the primitive experience of going to the store to buy them. We came up with a solution for that, and in that regard, we say our customer is anybody that wants to buy razors or that is frustrated with that. As we go into new products, and I can't unfortunately talk about it here just yet, but as we look at other products, what's the problem with the products as they exist right now? How do we fix that? I would say when I think of the person in my mind that we're trying to reach and satisfy, it is probably a 28 to 30-year-old guy who has a good job, and he's starting to form opinions about the things he really likes to buy, clothing-wise, food-wise, how he likes to travel, and it doesn't necessarily matter what those choices are, whether he likes to go to Cancun and drink out of fish bowls, or whether he likes to go to Lake Como in Italy and drink a rosé. It doesn't matter. It's that the stage of life where they are starting to really say, you know what, I really like this. I really like that. And it's that. Look, we all know who we are at a very young age, but it's when you're in your mid-20s that you start to have a little bit of money, and you're like, holy shit, I can buy stuff. I don't have to ask for money anymore, or I don't have to take a loan out anymore. And that's when you really start to kind of discover, that's when I first started to discover what I really liked to do, travel-wise, clothing-wise, et cetera, because I could actually afford those stuff. And before that, I was operating off, a budget because I was, I had loans and things like that. So it's more about that mindset and that person that's in that stage of their life that I think about when we think about brand and product.
And speaking of sort of brand and DNA, I don't have my phone with me, but I have a picture. So what comes in everything you do? The personality of the brand comes through, right?
Sure.
So they know. When you get your blades,
yes.
What comes with the blades?
So we always send a little postcard and a business card that just has some reinforcement of the brand and why you are loving the product. So 1 month it might feature a little business card that's put on the back of your blade cassette that says, it feels fucking great? Shaving with a fresh blade. Or, XO, the chairman, or something like that. Your face called, it's time to change your blade. Things like that. So just, a fun, irreverent way of communicating with that's where we get to have a relationship with our customer once a month, and that's really we don't want to bug you. A lot of e-commerce companies will bug you and bug you and bug you. We want to leave you alone because it's annoying. You've got a lot of stuff that you're doing in your life. We want to just hit you once a month, give you what you need, give you a laugh, reinforce the idea of why you're loving the product, and then reinforce that we're in business with you. So sometimes we feature a picture of an employee. And something that they're doing. Like we had some guy. I don't know if he went to USC. I think he went to either USC or UCLA. And
there's a big difference between.
No, I understand that. Yeah. UCLA, we're gonna fire him. He like wears these deep V-necks. And he was eating South Beach diet bars during the summer. His name's Jordan, so if you want to blow him up on Twitter, go for it. But we did a postcard of him, and we just put him on picture of him with the deep V, with the diet bars on the desk, and just said something like Euro Shave Club. We just launched Euro Shave Club total members 1. And it was a picture of Jordan with his deep V.
Rocking the deep V.
Rocking the deep V, yeah. So, that's fun, and, it's fun for us, it's fun for me, because I like writing things that are funny. But it's also, we're developing a relationship with our customers, and it's more than just sending you crap. and hoping that you don't cancel.
Yeah, my nephew's a member, and so he shot pictures of that card and the card from the chairman. He says he looks forward to your messages as much as he looks forward to the blades.
And that's the point, you know. That's you talk. I'm sorry I missed the Cherokee uniforms guy, but create value and don't think about making money. That's that is true. And value doesn't mean just saving people a couple bucks or it's just it's a holistic. Value is a holistic notion.
Yeah. I'm going to ask one more question, then we're going to get questions from you guys so we can get him on the road. Jim, do you have the mic ready? The handheld mic for? That's going to pick up on your. Okay. So last question. You're funded by sort of a who's who of venture capital. You've got Kleiner Perkins, you've got Forerunner, Shasta, and I think Andreessen.
Those are a couple, yeah.
So when did they come in? And what's the advantage of having sort of that type of credibility behind you?
Totally. It is another invaluable thing. One of the things that, and I'll answer that in a circuitous fashion. I was very honest about what I knew and what I didn't know when I started this business. I knew that I understood branding, marketing, and the web, but I had just come from New York not too long before, and my network in Los Angeles was very small. And I didn't have access to top-tier programming talent, and I didn't have access to top-tier venture guys. And so I knew that I was going to have to make sacrifices to get those things so we could move as quickly as we did. And the short answer is so we made a deal with a local Santa Monica accelerator. For those reasons alone, access to funding, and as most people have heard, and I will tell you that it is true. It really helps to know people that it's who you know in so many ways. It's not to say you can't do it, but there were a lot of companies that also shacked up with our accelerator or that didn't shack up with the accelerator because they thought they could do it on their own. And I could see very clearly that they had weaknesses just like I had weaknesses that I needed to account for, and they are not doing great because they have tried to struggle on your own. And I am not saying that you can't do it on your own. Absolutely. I'm just saying you have to be very honest about who you are and what you can do and who you know to accomplish whatever your goal is. And I was that, and that for me meant going to an accelerator. So I'm not supporting the idea of an accelerator for startups, but I'm just saying that you have to be honest with yourself all the time. Like even now, I'm very honest with myself about what we're doing right and wrong. But perfect example of why having. So then we had sort of the warm introduction to those kind of very blue chip venture capitalists, and that was extremely important versus a cold introduction. So they sat with us through the meeting and ultimately funded us, and now having them on board is invaluable. So the other day. American Express, we're moving offices from Santa Monica to Venice. And the other day there was an address discrepancy, and the other day American Express shut off our ability to accept American Express credit cards. And my chief operating officer was on the phone with customer service trying to fix this. And I was like, he told me about it, and I was like, oh man, what a nightmare. Let me know if you need any help. And he's like, no, I'll take care of it. And an hour later, I still see him like on the phone with this customer service rep, and I'm like, dude, you're still doing that? What are you doing? Why are you talking to customer service? And he was like, well, I'm done now. They said they're going to call back, and it could take 2 days, and blah 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 whatever. And I'm like, okay, don't ever do that again. So I emailed my investors and I said, hey, urgent, American Express cut us off because of an address thing, and we're not accepting American Express cards. Within 15 minutes, I had the emails of 3 senior American Express contacts, and within an hour and a half, American Express was back on the website. That's the difference. We're very lucky to have the partners that we have, and they can fast track things. Again, that's just us. That's not, you don't need to have that to succeed. You don't need to have that caliber of investor to succeed at all, but it helps.
Yeah, great advice. Questions for Michael?
Hi.
I read online that you really try and emphasize the difference that you're a membership service and not a subscription service. How do you make that distinction to your customers?
That is a great question, and that is something that we're working very hard to do. It has, God, I wish I could answer this in a full way, but we're trying to keep some things secret that we're working on. Let me just say for right now that as we think about, and I'll tell you a little bit if you guys promise not to tweet about it or. Okay. What we think about at DSC is making it as, how do I say this? How do we think about solving a key problem? How do guys want to shop for the things that they use every day? And implied in that question is, what do they want to shop for every day? And then also, and so when we say how, for right now, I'll just suffice it to say that we want to make it really easy. Guys, somebody made the observation, I was at a conference in New York last week, and somebody said, women shop, men buy. And I think that is really insightful. Men just want to get it done. They don't want to browse too much. I mean, some do. And as you get older, you do more browsing. But like most guys want to just buy what they need and get it done. And they want it to be very easy. They don't want to dilly-dally. It's like bing, bang, bing, done. And so if you're on our website, you can literally check out. If you have your credit card out, you can be done with the whole thing in less than 2 minutes if you want to be. It's that simple. The site is literally 3 pages long. 4. The checkout funnel. So membership, what does that mean? So that means creating, and I hate the word exclusive, but I'm going to use it, creating exclusive experiences and products for our membership that require you to be a member to enjoy. And you'll know what that means very soon.
My question is, you said earlier that you were at a cocktail party and you met somebody who kind of got you, like, whatever you're into.
Yeah.
So did you think razors beforehand, then meet this guy, or did you meet this person and then think, oh, razors?
That is a good question. The story that we tell the press is that I grew up with a passion for razors. My mom told me I would grow up and reinvent the razor business. The truth is that I met a guy at a cocktail party who could help me out. And I was, now give those razors to 99% of people and they'll just try to sell them on the web as fast as possible. But we were able to do something very unique. But yeah, I mean, look, we got lucky as fuck. I mean, that is not something that you can plan for. I mean, and that's, you have to, but it's like you look at this and I am, whatever I had for breakfast that day, I can't remember, but it's true that you have to be a little bit lucky, but that not, like I said, you give those razors to most people and they're not going to make you a video and they're not going to build you a brand and they're not going to start you a web company like the one that we started. So I like to think that all of the soil was very fertile for this plant to grow, but that, we needed that stroke of luck to get started, and we're very grateful for that.
Hi, my name's Zach. Allow me to be one of the first to thank you for coming here today. It's been
Thank you for having me.
My question concerns your tiered pricing strategy that
Mm-hmm.
you've been using with your blades.
Yeah.
How successful has that been meeting the needs of the 28 to 40-year-old man you mentioned who has the upward mobility in his life where he can say, I care about the quality of my shave over the cost of my shave? And how do you also meet the needs of the man who says, I'm 20 years old and all I really need to do is get the hair off my face at the same time? And how do you see that evolving?
Sure. So shaving is a very personal. What do you use to shave?
Gillette.
Which one?
The vibrating Quattro.
The which one?
The top end one, the
the 5-blade, the Fusion. So interesting. So that how's that vibrating handle working? I think it is a little bit of that. I think I think that the vibrating handle is very much. Some people swear by it. They'll be like, "Yeah, it vibrates. It's amazing. I can't go back. Honey, the batteries are dead." But that's. I don't think that it adds much. Most guys don't need that. But anyway, I digress. Shaving is a very personal thing, and a lot of guys, to your point, like you couldn't even name the brand that you use right off the. I mean, you would have thought of it, but you didn't. It didn't come to you. A lot of guys don't even know what they're shaving with. Their wife buys it. Their girlfriend buys it. They just buy what's ever on the shelf. They know it's the orange one or the green one, and they just go get that when they go to the store. They know every store carries it. So first, I think you give guys you're giving guys a little bit more credit than they deserve when you think that they know what they're shaving with and that they really care. The shave needs to be close, and our shave is as close as the big boys. So when it comes down to after that, what we're eliminating is, we're not going to sit and do a blade by blade comparison of Gillette or Schick and our blade, because it's not about that. It's about a lifestyle. I tell people in the office this all the time when they talk about doing stuff like that, and I say we're not a razor company, which sounds crazy, but we're not. We're a lifestyle company. There is a you're smarter for saving money and not going to the store. I'm saving you time and probably 15 minutes. I'm saving you probably 15 minutes and a lot of money to use our razor, and that makes you smart because you're not sacrificing anything on brand image, so to speak. That's what I'm selling. I'm not necessarily trying to say to you, Mr. Fusion Man, you're going to love our 6-blade executive razor because it's blade for blade the same as the Fusion. It's like guys don't do this that often in line by line comparison. They want easy, they want quick. They want affordable, and they want a story, and they want to feel part of something cool and special, and that's what we're selling as much as anything else.
Hi, Jonah. Thanks for coming. All right, so I guess I'm talking for kind of the film students in the room.
Sure.
Film student improv guy myself.
Nice.
Can you talk a bit about the writing process for the video? Obviously, it got you a lot of success. So, was it something that just happened overnight? Obviously, you guys use a lot of techniques of comedy, physical stuff, incongruity, the basic things that kind of make videos go viral, and what you learned. And if people have approached you after and said, hey, you guys made a great video, can you make us something to make our business good as well?
Yeah, so the latter has happened a lot. The writing process, it's hard to say what the process is. I have a weird brain. I mean, seriously, I say that half kidding, but and I don't mean to sound like whatever this may sound like, but I knew that I wanted to make a video. I always believed in the power of storytelling and video to sell. It's why you see TV commercials, obviously, and it's why a lot of companies are on the web now, doing that. And I knew I wanted to make a video, and even when I started the business and I knew eventually I would get to make a video, I was just putting down thoughts all the time. What are the core principles of my business? What is the purpose of this business? If you look at that video, you'll see that every beat in that video, we're talking about the product, the service, and why it's different. There are a couple punchy jokes on the other side of that. It's, hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? We send razors to your door. Then there's our blades are fucking great joke. Then it's, we're talking about how you're overpaying. You're paying for Roger Federer and not, you're paying for celebrity endorsements. Do you need to do that? No, you don't. Then we're talking, every beat of that video is, except there's only one, it's the Alejandra beat, where we're talking about making jobs that has nothing to do with the product or anything. So, I started there and I said, here are the core messages I need to get across. And then, just my weird brain came up with Alejandra and I are going to ship them to you, and a machete and a bear and all that. And that stuff just that's just the weird shit that came to me, I guess. But like that's it's not that hard to think of those little funny, quirky things. You just got to give people what they're not expecting. Don't write a video for them that they could have kind of written themselves.
Last question.
Hi, my name's Aaron. Your company kind of focuses on the consumer that like doesn't move around too much, that stays in the same household. Do you find that like for consumers that maybe move around a lot, it's a problem to buy your product, and how you're combating that product?
You can change your address. I mean, not to give you the quick answer there, but yeah, I mean, you can change your address.
One more question, quick one.
Hi, my name is Paulo.
Which one is the best seller? The $1, the $6, or the $9? And have you thought about selling other complementary goods to this product?
The best seller is the middle one. There's some psychology there. Give people 3 choices, put one in the middle, make it the middle one. You get most people say, oh, I don't want the really cheap one. I'm not a really cheap guy. And then, oh, I don't want to spend $9 a month. That's a lot. And they're like, $6, that's perfect. I love $6. So that's the best seller. Have we thought about other products? Yes, we have.
Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks. Let's hear from Mike and Dubin.
Thank you for having me.